Support for the local government news roundup comes from Rath Engineering Development, smarter systems for local government, like Red GMS, helping councils manage gravel pits and projects, track quality, test results, blending options and haulage, and know the true cost per tonne from day one. Rath Engineering Development can give you a one-off report that uses your existing pit data to pinpoint the best gravel sources for your next resheeting program or disaster restoration works, saving your council time and money. For local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience, talk to the team at Rath Engineering Development. Head to rathed.com.au to find out more. Coming up, a council CEO set to depart for the UK. Greater Shepparton Mayor Shane Sali declares his state election intentions. A shake-up of allowances for Victorian councillors. Opening prayers to return to Shoalhaven meetings as the Mayor extends her leave of absence for health reasons. A 44-year council career comes to an end in Muswellbrook. Gold Coast set to privatise its aquatic centres. And New Zealand's new rates cap draws a swift sector response. All of that and more just ahead on the local government news roundup, including a South Australian council prompting debate after commissioning mayoral portraits. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome to the podcast, brought to you by the VLGA, the national broadcaster on all things local government, Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. It's Friday the 28th of August and it's been a busy few days in local government circles. Let's bring you all the news we can fit into one edition. In Victoria, the CEO of Knox City Council, Bruce Dobson, will leave the organisation in January after 5 years in the role. Mr Dobson is relocating overseas with his family to live and work in the United Kingdom. Mayor Councillor Paige Kennett thanked him for his contribution, saying the council looks forward to working closely with him over the coming months to ensure a smooth transition and the appointment of a new CEO. The Mayor of Greater Shepparton, Shane Sali, has confirmed he's seeking National Party pre-selection for the state seat of Shepparton ahead of the Victorian election in November. It follows sitting member Kim O'Keefe's announcement in July that she won't recontest the seat. Councillor Sali will face a pre-selection contest on September the 5th against prosecutor Alexander Liu and says he'll remain as mayor throughout the process, handing duties to Deputy Mayor Jeff Akers when conflicts of interest arise. Mr Liu, a former councillor himself at Stonnington City Council, told the Shepparton News that he welcomed Councillor Sali's announcement and called on him to match his commitment not to run as an independent or for another party if unsuccessful in the pre-selection battle. Victoria's Independent Remuneration Tribunal has handed down a new pay determination for mayors, deputy mayors and councillors, effective from the 1st of July this year. The shake-up creates a new Category D tier for 6 fast-growing councils, including Casey, Wyndham and Whittlesea. It lifts the minimum councillor allowance to $38,500 for a Category B council and decouples the deputy mayor allowance from the mayoral rate. Melbourne City Council remains in its own category. More details and figures are on our website at lgnewsroundup.com. The Victorian Local Governance Association says the increase to councillor allowances better reflects the growing complexity and demands of the job after its sustained advocacy on the issue. It says councillors now average 39 hours a week, and the change is a step towards recognising their work and helping attract and retain people from diverse backgrounds. But the association says the push isn't over and it will keep campaigning for further reforms to keep pay in line with expectations. And VLGA leaders have met with Victoria's new local government minister Tim Richardson to press for urgent reforms to better protect councillors and council CEOs. The VLGA said the talks focused on the Strengthening Communities Bill, a proposed councillor assistance program to support health and well-being, and growing concerns about rising incivility toward elected representatives. Other issues raised included councillor pay, expanding inclusive leadership through the Mary Rogers Awards for women in local government, and the upcoming 2026 Victorian Councillors Census aimed at capturing the experiences and challenges facing councillors statewide. A lot of councillors have held meetings this week, and there are some decisions of note to tell you about. In Wangaratta, the councillors voted not to adopt a proposed reconciliation action plan, instead backing an alternative motion to continue its current reconciliation approach through ongoing projects and community engagement. The council says the decision is about the RAP framework and not its commitment. The Mayor, Councillor Irene Grant, says reconciliation efforts will continue despite the plan not being adopted. Wyndham City Council has narrowly adopted an interim policy allowing councillors to advocate on fast-moving issues before an official position is formally established. Wyndham TV reported the decision followed a split vote settled by Mayor Mia Shaw's casting vote. Councillor Josh Gilligan argued for closing a governance gap in the council's media guidelines, exposed when he spoke to the media while mayor earlier this year about government plans to sell off the Point Cook RAAF base, leading to a conduct complaint and his eventual suspension. Darebin Council has voted to scrap its 6-month Lime e-scooter and e-bike trial following safety concerns and poor financial returns. Mayor Emily Demetriadis highlighted in debate that the council spent $50,000 administering the scheme, while recovering only $18,000 from the operator. A deadlocked council vote has forced City of Greater Geelong Mayor Stretch Contell to cast the deciding vote to adopt the Creamery Road Precinct Structure Plan. The Geelong Advertiser reported that developer Villawood Properties has threatened to walk away from the 4,500 home housing project. The matter now moves to Victorian Planning Minister Sonia Kilkenny for a final decision on the 350-hectare site northwest of central Geelong. Kingston Council has launched a bid to purchase state-owned land at Mentone Station to block a proposed 6-storey apartment tower. The Herald Sun reported that councillors voted unanimously to make an in-principle offer of up to $2.5 million to acquire or lease the site for open space. That follows community backlash over heritage concerns and loss of ocean views. As we look at more stories making news in Victoria, City of Melbourne councillors have unanimously voted to press ahead with a $185.7 million civic precinct renewal to overhaul their ageing town hall offices and relocate the city library. The Herald Sun reports it sparked some criticism as it emerges alongside a hidden $37 million budget blowout in the Queen Victoria Market redevelopment. Greater Geelong Council has delayed a decision on a proposed naming policy that would prioritise First Nations, female and gender diverse names for local landmarks. Mayor Stretch Contell saying the deferral would allow for further internal discussions. And Greater Shepparton City Council will receive a feasibility report into returning household red bin rubbish collections to a weekly schedule after a motion put forward by Councillor Kieran Eddy. The Shepparton News reports that move follows concerns about potential changes in the event of a change of government in November. And some by-election news. Candidate nominations have closed for 3 Victorian Council by-elections, all to be decided by postal vote. 2 candidates are contesting Mornington Peninsula Shire's Briars ward following the resignation of Councillor Anthony Marsh. 8 are running in Banyul's Beale ward, vacated by Councillor Elizabeth Neely, and 6 have nominated in Greater Bendigo's Lockwood ward, for that ward's second by-election this year after the death of Councillor Donna Nicholas. Ballot packs go out in September, with results to be declared by the 23rd of October. On to New South Wales, and there's a bit of news coming out of Shoalhaven City Council this week, where the Mayor Patricia White has requested an extended leave of absence to undergo treatment for breast cancer and requesting privacy for her family during her recovery. In a statement read to the council by CEO Andrew Constance this week, Mayor White called on current and former councillors to cease commentary surrounding her health and to focus on serving the community. Her period of leave will run through to late September. In more Shoalhaven news, the council has voted to reinstate opening prayers at its meetings following a heated debate that required the Deputy Mayor to break 3 separate deadlocked votes. The South Coast Register reported the controversial decision follows public consultation that saw 47 submissions in favour of returning to the prayer, while opposing councillors argued the move was exclusive rather than inclusive for all community members. And Transport New South Wales is set to compulsorily acquire 3 Shoalhaven Council-owned land parcels to progress the major $940 million Milton-Ulladulla bypass along the Princes Highway. South Coast News reported that the council passed a motion on Tuesday to hand over the sites, which include a disused sanitary depot, a public reserve and vacant operational land. Muswellbrook Shire Council has recognised the contribution and career of General Manager Derek Finnegan, whose resignation was accepted at Tuesday's ordinary meeting. The resignation caps more than 4 decades with the council. Mr Finnegan began as a plant operator before rising through infrastructure and senior leadership roles, becoming Deputy GM in July 2020 and General Manager in March 2023. Director of Economic Investment, Shaylee Richards, has been appointed Acting General Manager while the council recruits permanently. Legal advice has been sought by Mid-Western Regional Council after a portion of an archived meeting recording was removed due to an outburst by Councillor Peter Shelley. The Mudgee Guardian reported that Councillor Shelley apologised on social media for his reaction, which he stated was prompted by a fabricated attack on his family during the live broadcast. The General Manager exercised discretionary powers permitted by the Office of Local Government to redact material deemed unsuitable for public broadcast or potentially subject to legal liability. The New South Wales Government has announced a package of poker machine harm minimisation measures, introducing a statewide self-exclusion register, facial recognition technology and a ban on gambling advertising across government assets. But Inner West Council Mayor Darcy Byrne has criticised the policy, saying the reforms don't go far enough to significantly reduce the state's 87,000 gaming machines or to address venue operating hours. Woollahra Council has put forward an alternative proposal to the New South Wales Government's housing rezoning strategy for Woollahra and Edgecliff, offering to build 3,600 new homes instead of the state's proposed 10,000. The Mayor, Sarah Dixon, warned this week that the government's current scheme would bring gridlock, overflowing schools and up to 80 25-storey towers to the area. Representatives from Murray River Council are heading to Sydney to meet with Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and state leaders at a Country Mayors Association event focusing on regional housing. The Riverine Herald reports that Mayor John Harvey and Councillor Gary Pappen plan to use the opportunity to raise regional concerns, including historical cuts to federal assistance grants and new state regulations restricting councillor communications. And the Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, Josh Black, is using this week's National Bush Summit in Dubbo to urge state and federal leaders to fund critical housing, health and local infrastructure projects. Mayor Black says urgent investment is needed for regional roads, hospital upgrades and a Medicare urgent care clinic to support the region's rapidly growing population. In Griffith, the City Council has voted to roll back a controversial 32% increase in commercial waste tip fees down to 10% following widespread backlash from local businesses and residents. The compromise move, which reduces the per tonne rate at Tharbagang landfill from $276 to $229.90, will now undergo a 28-day public exhibition period before taking effect. More from Region Riverina. Tweed Shire Council has rejected a notice to alter that sought to deliver the proposed Tweed Regional Indoor Sports and Aquatic Centre as a single integrated project. The motion, brought forward by 3 councillors, failed to gain support at an extraordinary meeting this week, preserving the council's original decision to adopt a staged delivery model. And rounding up more New South Wales Council news, Kiama has announced the return of its iconic New Year's Harbour fireworks after local businesses and the community helped raise the required $100,000 funding target. In an exceptionally tight contest for Kiama's by-election, independent candidate Uncle Stan Jarrett currently leads Michael Bowden by just 196 votes. Postal votes still being accepted until the 4th of September. Warrumbungle Shire and New South Wales Police have shut down an illegal tobacco shop disguised as a giftware store in Coonabarabran following community reports. 2 individuals were arrested and are facing multiple charges. And Newcastle Lord Mayor Gavin Morris will participate in the inaugural Hunter Region Singapore Trade and Connectivity Mission next month, hosted by Newcastle Airport, which has been named Airport of the Year at the 2026 Australian Aviation Awards, recognising its transformation and growth in connectivity. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Friday the 28th of August, thanks to our sponsors, the VLGA, with a new edition of VLGA Connect coming out later today. And thanks also to supporting sponsors Symphony 3 and Rath Engineering Development. Quite a bit of Queensland news to share with you too to round out this week. Gold Coast City Council has voted to privatise all 8 of its local aquatic centres and is facing severe pushback from unions who warn the move could halve staff wages. Union officials have also raised concerns over proposed reductions to redeployment rights, while the council defends the transition as a necessary measure to forecast tens of millions of dollars in savings. More from the Gold Coast Bulletin. Also from the Bulletin, City of Gold Coast Acting Chief Executive Paul Callender has secured an extended term in the top job, following unanimous support from councillors and high praise from Mayor Tom Tate. Mr Callender will remain in the interim role until a permanent successor is appointed to replace former Chief Executive Tim Baker, with the formal recruitment process set to be outlined next month. Quilpie Shire's CEO Justin Hancock has announced his resignation, with his final day set for Friday the 16th of October, and after a short break he'll take up the top job at Banana Shire Council in early November. Quilpie Mayor Ben Hall thanked Mr Hancock for more than 5.5 years of leadership, and Banana Shire Mayor Nev Ferrier said the council was pleased to appoint a leader with a strong understanding of regional Queensland. Recruitment for a new Quilpie CEO will begin shortly. In Rockhampton, the council has voted to wipe out $430,000 in overdue library fines after discovering historical debts spanning more than 20 years. The Courier Mail reported the unrecoverable debts on 5,000 inactive accounts had accumulated unnoticed outside standard financial systems, and clearing them will allow previously barred members to access library services once again. Cairns Regional Council has launched a search for its third planning boss in just 15 months following the sudden resignation of Executive Dr Mark Davey. The leadership vacancy comes at a critical juncture for the council, with the incoming director expected to oversee the final stages of the city's major $472 million water security project and to tackle housing shortages. Noosa Council has voted to request urgent state government approval to reopen Lions Park for temporary overflow parking during the 2026 Christmas period, seeking to reverse its previous decision to scrap the program. Sunshine Coast News says the proposal would allow parking for approximately 21 days to ease holiday congestion and support local community projects. But the decision was not unanimous, passing on a 5-2 vote. Fraser Coast has expanded its green targets after successfully hitting its previous milestone 4 years ahead of schedule, setting a new goal to plant 250,000 trees across the region by July 2032. In Logan, the council has unanimously rejected Football Queensland's proposed $76 million redevelopment of the Meakin Park Sporting Complex. As reported by Soccer Scene, councillors held concerns about local community access, funding certainty and ongoing costs associated with granting a requested 50-year lease expansion. Mount Isa City Council is set to hold a public auction at the Civic Centre next month to sell properties with overdue rates and charges. There are 45 individual properties listed for sale, including 11 in Pioneer, 7 in Townview and 6 at Soldiers Hill. And the City of Moreton Bay has launched a new Spread Kindness campaign after revealing 1 in 7 staff members have suffered occupational violence, aggression or abuse on the job. Mayor Peter Flannery warned that unacceptable behaviour towards frontline workers will not be tolerated, urging residents to treat council staff with patience and respect. Down to Tasmania next, and Hobart City Councillor Mike Dutta has officially launched his bid for Lord Mayor ahead of October's local government elections, pledging to base decisions on evidence rather than political division. Standing as an independent, the former educator aims to deliver fair rates, support local traders and protect the capital's heritage while scrutinising major infrastructure projects across the city, reports Pulse Tasmania. ABC News reports that Hobart City Council has voted to send a proposal restricting new whole home short stay rentals to the Tasmanian Planning Commission for final approval. The draft amendment aims to prevent roughly 20,000 residential homes from being converted into visitor accommodation to help ease the city's ongoing long-term rental crisis. Georgetown Council's approval of a controversial AI data centre at Longreach has sparked a political dispute, according to the Examiner. Councillors claimed that Planning Minister Kerry Vincent informally ruled out treating the development as a major project in informal discussions at a recent conference. But a government spokesperson has denied those claims. And Burnie City Council has officially endorsed its first standalone 5-year LGBTIQA+ action plan, marking a major milestone for inclusion across northwest Tasmania. Developed alongside a community advisory group, the initiative aims to build a safer, more welcoming city following survey results showing nearly 60% of respondents altered their daily activities out of fear of discrimination or violence. In South Australia, Narracourt Lucindale Council has voted to commission oil portraits of each serving mayor at a cost of up to $7,000 per term. The proposal from Councillor Tom Dennis was passed 6 votes to 2 on Tuesday night. The Advertiser reported that Mayor Councillor Patrick Ross didn't vote under council rules, but he said the expense worked out to about $1,000 a year, comparable to councillors' post-meeting meals. The decision has drawn mixed community feedback. Tell us what you think by voting in our current web poll on the website. Should councils spend ratepayer funds on official mayoral portraits? We have the option of yes, it recognises civic service and supports local artists. No, the money should go to community services, only for long-serving or exceptional mayors, or I'm unsure. It just depends on the amounts. Head to lgnewsroundup.com to have your say on our latest poll. Barunga West Council has appointed local government veteran Andrew Aiken as its interim chief executive officer, taking over from Mark McDonald following his resignation earlier this month. Mr Aitken, who previously spent a decade leading Adelaide Hills Council, will commence in the role on Monday to guide the organisation while the council undertakes recruitment for a permanent successor to Mr McDonald. 5 regional local government associations representing Limestone Coast, Northern and York, Murraylands and Riverland, Eyre Peninsula and Southern and Hills local councils have united to demand urgent federal funding reform ahead of national parliamentary hearings in Adelaide and Port Lincoln. They're calling on the Commonwealth to restore financial assistance grants to at least 1% of taxation revenue and replace competitive grant processes with fairer, formula-based funding models to sustain essential regional infrastructure. And Adelaide's Campbelltown City Council has backflipped on plans to build private paddle courts at Foxfield Oval, following community backlash over high fees and loud gunshot-like noises. Adelaide Now reported that over 400 residents petitioned against the project, prompting councillors to protect the free public space and focus on restoring the existing tennis courts instead. And to Western Australia, where City of Perth councillors have voted to defer a motion aimed at reinstating suspended Chief Executive Michelle Reynolds, choosing to keep her on leave while an ongoing workplace investigation concludes. Ms Reynolds was originally stood down in May following a confidential meeting with the local government inspector. WA Today reports that Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds said the council has opted to postpone any decision on her return until full options are presented after the conclusion of the workplace investigation. The deferral coincides with recent scrutiny over advice emailed by Ms Reynolds from her work account shortly before a committee meeting earlier this month. And Perth has announced that the 7-metre Boonji Spaceman sculpture will touch down in its permanent waterfront home at Elizabeth Quay mid-next year. Until the relocation, space enthusiasts can still view the artwork at its temporary site in Stirling Gardens. And the Shire of Derby West Kimberley has issued a plea for public respect following a surge in offensive social media commentary aimed at local rangers and council staff. While welcoming constructive feedback on services such as animal control, the Shire says employees deserve a safe, abuse-free environment while carrying out their essential duties. And finally, we'll bring you some international news, and it's all about rate caps in New Zealand at the moment. Reaction to the government's announcement that it will cap council rates across the country at 4% has drawn a swift response from across the sector. Local government New Zealand issued a stern warning that the cap will severely cripple district councils and city councils in their ability to maintain essential public services and infrastructure. LGNZ President Rihet Stoltz argued the arbitrary cap is a blunt tool that provides a negligible saving of just $34 per household, while forcing severe maintenance shortfalls across every council nationwide. Global ratings agency S&P has warned the proposed cap could backfire by driving up borrowing costs, according to the Post. Auckland Mayor Wayne Brown echoed those concerns. He says the cap risks lowering Auckland Council's credit rating and ultimately burdening local ratepayers with higher interest costs for planned projects. Waikato local authority leaders have also sharply criticised the proposed cap, warning it could severely compromise core local services and infrastructure. RNZ News reported that Hauraki District Council Mayor Toby Adams and Matamata Piako District Council Mayor Ash Tanner have accused central government of over-regulating local affairs while wasting millions on unwanted amalgamation schemes. Union members in the UK have reluctantly agreed a 3.3% pay rise for council staff, reports Local Gov. The deal covers pay rates and allowances from 1 April this year through 31 March next year. Unison says the deal was accepted to avoid strike action after a ballot of around 200,000 workers, but warns years of below-inflation awards have eroded pay and that it will push for a stronger settlement in 2027. A young man has died following a stabbing incident at the Brent Civic Centre in northwest London. Scotland Yard has launched a murder investigation into the incident at the Brent Council headquarters, confirming it's not currently being treated as terror-related. Durham County Council Chief Executive John Hewitt has warned councillors that unacceptable emails sent using an authority-wide mailing list pose significant legal risks. Speaking following reports of personal allegations and assumptions being presented as fact, Mr Hewitt reminded members of their duty to maintain high standards of behaviour and to treat staff with respect. More from localgovernmentlawyer.com.uk. North Yorkshire Council Chief Executive Richard Flinton has announced he'll retire in March after nearly 40 years of local government service across the county, including 16 as Chief Executive. He leaves the role having successfully overseen the merger of 8 local authorities into the unified North Yorkshire Council. And former Mid and East Antrim Borough Council Chief Executive Anne Donaghy has been fined £1,500 after being convicted of 2 charges related to deleting an email to prevent its disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. According to BBC News, the court heard she instructed her PA to delete correspondence sent to former First Minister Arlene Foster, though her solicitors have confirmed she maintains her innocence and intends to appeal the decision. We'll go to France next, where locals in Brittany have launched a Parisians Get Out campaign amid a surge of summer visitors, with reports of Paris-registered cars being scratched and anti-tourist graffiti appearing on signs and walls. Local mayors have condemned the hostility, but they say overcrowded roads, parking shortages and housing pressure from second homes are fueling tensions as heat waves drive more holidaymakers north for coolcations, according to GB News. And finally, in South Africa, the African National Congress has introduced stricter selection criteria for its candidate representatives ahead of this year's local government elections. Voice of the Cape reports that the party is mandating a matric certificate for prospective councillors and tertiary qualifications for mayoral candidates in major metros and secondary cities. Former President and ANC Electoral Committee Chair Kgalema Motlanthe says the changes are about professionalising municipal governance and boosting public confidence. Well, that was an information-packed edition of the Roundup. I hope you found something of interest there. As always, more details, including story links, available on our website at lgnewsroundup.com. This was edition number 634 for Friday the 28th of August, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences, and Rath Engineering Development, smarter local government systems built from real on-the-ground experience. And support this month has come from LG Innovate 2026, the AI Summit for Local Government, happening in Melbourne next week on the 2nd and 3rd of September. This podcast is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be back Monday with more. Until then, thanks for listening, and bye for now. Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. With Symphony 3 Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling, and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors, and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. It's time to build smarter, more connected local governments. Learn more at www.symphony3.com. Symphony 3, supporters of the Local Government News Roundup.